everyone, it's Amy, and I am just here to make some scrap monsters. I thought that we could craft together if you're crafting today, and so I thought that I would just go ahead and do some taping. These are some that I've already made. I just have, these are striped, and then I'm just doing some patchwork ones now, and I put googly eyes on this one with a little mustache. We've got our actual little monster here. This looks like a little mad scientist to me. But and then I did a teeny tiny one, and I'm going to make some more of those too. I saw Ginny, Brave Blue Raven, and she made some really tiny ones and did some charms to hang in her window, and I want to make one to put on my purse charm that I hang on my purse. So I'm going to make some tiny ones till I find one that I have that I like for there. But then I have a most special one to show you. What I did the other day was I sat down and I drew out 3 pages of faces, just so that I would have some faces, you know, to go ahead and do this. And so I had Grandpa pick a face, and then I had done a full sheet. This is all that's left. I did a full sheet, an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that I just put all of the papers on. And so I had him cut his own shape, and he picked his face, and this is Papa's scrap monster. He cut his own shape, he chose his face, he told me he wanted a bow tie, he wanted an arm with fingers and red fingernail polish, had to have a foot with toes with black fingernail polish. He needed cauliflower ears, and he wanted them in green. He said that's what they used to call kids when he was little. They had great big ears. They called them cauliflower ears. That's not very nice, but it's kind of funny now. So, but this is Papa's scrap monster, and he even signed it. So, I just wanted to show you Papa's scrap monster. Out of all of them that I have here, this is the most special. So, well, let's go ahead and make some. So I have everything out here and kind of ready, but I figured I'd start right from the start. So I'm not going to do a whole sheet of paper. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out a shape, and I am just going to, right now I have my eyes closed, and I'm just going to cut. I will watch for my scissors. I can feel for them, make sure I don't cut myself. Okay. This is our scrap monster. I just think that's kind of fun. Then I'm not choosing the shape. He's choosing his own shape. And then all you need to do, I have some water glue here, which is just Elmer's glue and water. You can use any PVA glue, any white glue, school glue. And I have a whole bunch of my scrap papers. I have some sprayed paper that was a test paper. This one is a roller I was testing. I've got some jelly print, scrap paper that's been punched out of, and just papers. And we're just going to just put little bits right on our scrap monster. And you can use decoupage medium. You don't have to use you know, the watered down glue. I just use that because it's cheap, and I don't know, I just, for some reason, I always tend to go to my watered down glue. I have decoupage, but I don't use it as often. I use it a lot for a top coat, because the Elmer's glue doesn't really shine as well as the, I mean, even your matte, even the matte Mod Podge has a little bit of a shine to it, and I do kind of like that for my top coat. So, but whenever I'm doing any kind of decoupage, I almost always use my watered down glue. 2 parts to 1 part is what I do, and it works very well. Now, I don't usually like to do straight lines in there, so I try and cover those. If I forget to rip them off, then I just kind of try and cover them a bit, because I just think it looks more like pieces of scrap that way. so we're just going to go through and get this covered up. Once it's covered up, we will dry it or let it dry. And then we'll go on to the next step of picking a face. And I kind of like doing the faces ahead of time because then you can match your, you can go through what you have and hold it up to your body and see which face you think looks best for that particular monster. So, but yeah, we had fun last night. After dinner, we didn't have anything really to talk about, and so whenever we don't have anything to talk about, then I'll usually pull out something to art with. And I just had got to thinking, because he was watching me do these earlier in the day, and I thought, I ought to just have him make one. So the first body that he cut was way too small for the face that he had chosen. So he did have to cut a second body. But he was afraid to use too much of the paper that I had glued. So, but then he cut the one that we actually used. And he thought it was pretty cool. And each time, when we got to the next step, I would just ask him, okay, is there anything else you want? Oh, it needs an arm, he says. So I started to cut the arm, and it has to have a hand with fingers, he said. So I cut a hand with fingers. And it needs fingernails. So, and with red fingernail polish. So, okay. And then it needed a foot. And then he wanted he was going to do red, but then he decided no, he wanted black fingernail polish on the toes. So it was actually really quite fun to do that together. And so, and I think he actually stayed a half an hour late for the time that he usually goes home after dinner and gets ready for bed. Of course, when I say Papa goes home, it's actually just through a door in our house, because we added an apartment, 10 years ago for him and my mom. That one's too dark. I don't want that one. Ooh, let's do this one. And so he just goes over there and gets ready for bed, and then he sleeps in his chair till 10 o'clock, because he doesn't go to bed till 10 o'clock, although he sleeps in his chair till then. But yeah, he had so much fun, he stayed a half an hour late last night. Okay, I'm going to close up my glue. And we'll grab this scrap monster up here. So this is what our scrap monster looks like. And then we will cut all of the excess off when he's dry. I'm not going to dry him right now. I'm going to just let him air dry and just go to the next step, because I do have some here that I can still work on. Put all my little scraps in a pile, because for these scrap monsters you need scraps, so there's no point in throwing them away. Keep them all together. There we go. And our next step is going to be picking up a face and a body, and I think I'm going to use that little body right there, and we'll pick a face. I'm going to wipe this mat off real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I chose this little body, and then I went through my faces. I held the body up next to the faces and just kind of, said, which one do I want? And I chose this one, which it was actually, a little bit bigger. And I just cut it down just a little bit because it was way too big for this body. But since everything was all within that space, I just cut it down a little bit. And then I have started to stitch together my scrap monster. Now, I always think of my mom, who was a quilter, and she used to work at the rescue mission, and they made quilts for the needy, and they would do that all summer long, and I'd get to go once in a while with her. And they were all scrap quilts. People would just drop off old clothes, old material. They would wash it all up, and they would make quilts. And So they weren't quilted quilts, they were just scrap quilts. And so I always think of whenever I hear the scrap monsters and when I see them put together, they remind me of those quilts. So I have to stitch them together somehow. Now I've stitched mine together. I did most of it. You just want to make sure that you go around each different color piece of paper all the way around. Don't forget the outside edges. So on the outside edges, I just put kind of like half of a stitch. Excuse me. That'll focus. These are little X's, and so on the outside it's just kind of like a V. Just half of the top, half of the X. But, so I have X's. I've also done, like with Papa's, they're just straight stitches spaced apart, two together spaced apart. You have the straight stitch, the running stitch. And whenever you're doing these, the biggest thing is just make sure you go around every piece. So when you do the running stitch, you go around the pink. You also have to go around the purple. So you actually wind up with the two lines there. And then the straight stitches just completely right next to each other instead of two apiece. Or just plain old straight lines. Just, you know, that's not really stitched, but you do want to give definition to what's there. So now it's all stitched. So the next thing is just put our little face on there. Before the face, though, we want to color the face. So what I use to color my faces is makeup. And these are just, they're all the sparkly kind of makeup. And so I just pick one of these colors. And I do that before I glue it on, actually. And so I'm just going to pick some of this makeup. Move those back. And I'm just going to go around on the face. I don't usually do the eyes, like with the face color. And then I come back in with the pinkish purple and I do cheeks. And then I usually go back in with the black Sharpie and highlight the parts of the face again that got too covered up with the makeup. So, and they don't get, you can see them no matter what. But just give it a good rub on there. And then I just take a paper towel or a napkin. Just kind of rub it around there. And it doesn't all come off, so you don't have to be afraid of, you know, giving it a pretty good rub. And then go back in any place where you think you don't have quite enough. If there's a spot where it's just too light, just go back in and put in a little bit more of the color. And brush it off again. And surprising, you know, I don't do the eyes. And when I brush it off like this, you would think the eyes would get covered, but they don't. So they might get a little sparkly there, but they don't turn colors. So then I want him to have some little rosy cheeks. So, oh yes, and when Grandpa picked the color for his Scrap Monster's face, he chose a purple face. Because it was a monster, he said. So I'm going to put some, mix the pink and purple together a little bit and put some little colored cheeks on there. The pink's not quite dark enough, so I do a little bit of both. But you could even do like, I've thought about doing, I'm not going to do it now because it would take too long, but like do some blue eyeshadow on the eyes. And, you know, all different sorts of things. I did one, I think, with a green face. Because he was a monster, so I need to lighten that one up a little bit. And of course, you just go till you get it how you like it. And there we go. Now we have some little rosy cheeks. So, alright, so we'll put that away. Brush that aside. Stick glue. I love stick glue and it seems to work really well. Use a permanent stick glue. This one's acid free, but I don't particularly look for that because I'm not a scrapbooker. This is not something I am looking to last for a million years. If I were to put it on a card or something or give it to someone, you know, I think that he needs like a little something there. So, let's see. I got some little scraps here. This is just the paper with the cut it down a little bit. I think he needs like some little horns or something. It's just a little blah there on top. Let's see how this looks. Oh, I kind of like that. Got a little orange one over here. And I'm going to leave this one tall like that. Yeah, I do like that. Except that I'm going to slide this off. And I'm going to put stick glue on the back of those too. There we go. Need to slide this one down just a little bit. There we go. I want to tip the face just a little bit. There we go. And there we go. We've got a little face. He's got his little horns. Now what I should have done with the horns and what I should have done with the whole thing, and you know what, it's not dry yet, so I'm going to slide it off because I messed it up. They look really good. They look the best if you do a black outline around them, and that is easiest to do before you put it together. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this black Sharpie marker. Uh-oh, messed up, but you know, there's nothing you can do about that now. So we'll just figure out how to incorporate that in a second. That was because I was hurrying. And actually you should just, these are so fun. You can sit down in the evening and just glue a bunch of little pieces of paper onto a piece of cardstock. And, you know, have it all ready to go. You can sit down in the evening and, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line that black mark up with his little curl. There we go. And I still forgot to go around the edges of the horns, which needs to be done because it needs to stand out. So see, and you can do it while it's together. It's not going to really hurt anything. It's just harder to do that way. Just do that. That's why I have all these black marks on my mat, because I'm using permanent marker on my mat. But I did get these mats at a recycle store. I think there was like 6 mats for 25 cents. So I got like 24 of them for $1. And they work really well. I don't know where they came from, but they work really well. Alright, I'm going to put a little bit more glue on now, because we've done so much messing. It's getting dry. Papa loves the glue sticks too. He thinks they're just the greatest thing since sliced bread. He says it sure works better than flour and water. There we go. And I am not going to I'm not going to do the cross stitches, but I am going to outline the different papers right here. There we go. And with the orange, it's only one piece of paper, so it doesn't have any outlines. There. Well, I think that he's turning out cute. And there we go. Just kind of incorporate this like it was meant to be. There. There's our little scrap monster. Now I might add some arms or something like that. I don't know. He's kind of cute like he is, but he might need some arms, and I may do that later. But I think I'm going to stop at this point, and because Papa's going to be up any minute now. But I just wanted to craft along with you this morning. I hope that you all enjoyed yourself doing whatever you were doing, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.